Welcome to the Wrestlers Real Podcast. Thanks for joining me. It's King of Podcasts here with you with no production. This is a cold open. We're not producing anything. This is just my voice on this recording for this program and for the next couple of programs going forward. And that's because of the fact that a hard drive that I use for the program, external hard drive that I use with all my elements, got corrupted. Good thing it's under warranty, and I need to go ahead and get all those files retrieved, so I sent it to the company that made the hard drive, shipped it out. So hopefully within 2 to 4 weeks, I'll get the new drive back, and crossing fingers and toes that I'll get all those files back. That's the plan. But now I'm here with this episode tonight, and we're just going to run through it. And maybe I'm going to like this. Hey, the extra steps that I have to make to do the show. Listen, I already do the graphics. I already put the show together. Hell, I redid the websites over the weekend, and I redid all my websites, including kingofpodcasts.com, all of it. I did everything. I was like, well, let me just, fix it all up and make it look good. And I did that. And I took the time for it. And I'm very proud of myself. Pat myself on the back like Barry Horowitz. Okay, I really did that. Now, with that said, I did this here. And we're going to talk about a couple different things when it comes to a real approach that Tony Khan takes for his big, ambitious all-in show coming up in August, and what he's doing to lead up to it, and the Wrestlemania withdrawal. We are now in the off-season of WrestleMania. It is official. Regardless of the draft coming in, Backlash coming up, Money in the Bank after that, SummerSlam after that, Crown Jewel or whatever the shit they're going to do in Saudi Arabia, another Clash at the Castle, all these things that are coming up. They're building things up. I don't think and everybody's making a whole big stink over last week saying that, Vince was all over the script. He made the last minute changes. And then this week, we had travel issues with a number of the stars. And the same thing here. It's last minute changes. And everybody is huffing. The IWC, they're vindictive people, man. And if you don't know what the word vindictive means, I'm going to go ahead and give you the definition. Is having or showing a strong or unreasoning desire for revenge. Vindictive. That is the IWC. They want something. They want something to happen to Vince McMahon, because they're blaming him for all of this. And I'm here to say it's not. I don't know why everybody's all caught up on it, but this is the thing that continues to bother me with my fellow podcast wrestling brethren, who I don't listen to much anymore, because I get tired of this. I'm fed up. I'm done. Some of the people I listen to, when they have to go ahead and, go take their bow and arrow, and they got to take their torches and go after Vince McMahon on a constant basis. Not about his accusations. I'm not defending his accusations. Let me make that perfectly clear. I'm trying to justify and validate his business decisions. Now, we know that the company is being sold. The closing of the sale to Endeavor is coming at the end of the year. That's without saying. WrestleMania, everybody's a little bit of a WrestleMania hangover afterwards. They're still kind of positioning and moving along with what they're going to do in storylines now. They're working on that. Okay. So give it time. Why is everybody such a hurry right now that they're going to go ahead and have Triple H come in and he's going to automatically, here's the new people that are coming in. Here's all the things that are happening. Listen, with the Bloodline storyline, they added one more person to the mix with Matt Riddle. Okay. Roman doesn't have to defend is not going to defend the title anytime soon. Usos reeling over losing the tag team titles. Cody still upset, but now he has Brock Lesnar as a stick in his craw, right? All those things that are happening. So a block in what is going to happen for Cody to get himself ahead. And to see if he's going to actually make himself be able to get back to the promised land and go after Roman Reigns and his title. Yeah, eventually he will. Eventually he will. Give us some time. We'll see it happen. I do believe it. But everybody is really just feeling impatient. We've been spoiled with really good storylines so far, and some that have continued right now as well. Let's put it like that. But that's where everybody's at. I get it. I understand. But everybody's upset. And why are you upset? What good is it right now to be so upset and to be so adamant? Thinking that that's everything that's going on is because of Vince. As I said, I went ahead and gave a lot of praise to the man for what he's done. And I was able to get everything together to make the show as it is. And to really get the company as such a good point. They're going into the broadcast deals. The product is as hot as it can be, given the situation. Now, they are not built up on like so many stars that are like so over. No, they're not on that level. They're not like they are in the 90s. And it's a much tougher environment than it was before. So now, they're subjected to try to go and figure out what they're going to do without that help. And that's the part they have to try to figure out. What are they going to do to get them there? So I do want to take a few minutes just to talk about the fact that, okay, is Vince really doing something to affect the product? I'll answer that. I will take a shot at this and let everybody go ahead and just get their chance to go ahead and make their comments. Get themselves all huffed up and upset. Yeah, we could do that. I don't mind doing that at all. That's all to understand, too, that we have programs that are live. These are not pre-recorded. Sometimes the scripts are going to be subject to change. Cards subject to change. That happens. Now, are they necessarily promoting certain matches ahead of time? I guess. Maybe not as much as before, but, I mean, we're also seeing matches and feuds that are just about the same, which was still a bit of a thing for myself to watch. Like, SmackDown's a bit easier to watch because of so many segments that are going on, and that's partly because of how, when we get matches, I mean, with Raw, remember, they got to stretch matches out over multiple segments. Plus, the segments are not super long on Fox. Like, you're going to get to a commercial break, you're going to get your segments on, and then there are breaks in the action. Plus, also on Friday night, there's nothing much else to watch. But I'm trying to go and do things on Fridays. There's not much else to do. Like, I am working because it's the middle of the work week. Friday, I'm much more inclined to kind of take it easy and relax, which I do. So SmackDown's a much easier watch for me. Plus, I know with the stars they have on there, they're upping the game there. With a 2-hour show, it's much easier to consume. Plus, I'm also excited to go watch movies and this and that, which I could go into those for a while. But that's where I'm at. And so SmackDown's much easier to watch. And Raw, like I have other things I'll catch up on and pass on, and look on as well. Especially when it comes to sports. Like I always catch, NBA going on, maybe some Major League Baseball a little bit, trying to catch the game now the pitch clock's in play, because I'm now a little more interested in the game moving a little bit faster and the game's not going as long. I know some traditionalists are going to hate me for that, but that's just the way I feel about it. And I used to watch games traditionally, but even I was a little bit tired of seeing 3.5 hour, 4 hour extra inning games going to 15, 20 innings, whatever, right? Come on. Okay, so let's take things back to SmackDown first. And by the way, I'm going to talk about Tony Khan and his whole approach to the young pillars in the main event and his all-in gamble, which might not be, it's a very educated gamble. It's 5 years in the making. And there's a lot of reasons behind it, and I'm going to discuss that. Now, with SmackDown, they had already made mention of, and this is good where you can use WrestlingNews.co for reviews, because you get a number of things that are going to be addressed on the show. The preview of what was going to happen. It was already scheduled, Sami Zayn and Jey Uso, Triple H addressing SmackDown, Rey and Santos Escobar, LWO, Dominic and Damian Priest, an appearance by Rhea Ripley, and Brawling Brutes Imperium in a 6-man match, which started off the night. Well, I'm going to put it like this. The LWO, I'm not big about it. Do we need to bring that back? Not necessarily. I think trying to bring those letters and trying to bring that out, hey, it's nice to go and bring the merch back, sure. But there isn't anyone that's very strong in that group that's going to make that stand out. No Conan. No Eddie Guerrero. Rest in peace. They don't have it. I mean, Ray's good, but do we need to have him, or do we need to say we're basically Ray's kind of heading LWO and Legado del Fantasma is LWO? I don't know. I'm not just really sure that I'm really so much into that, but they went this way anyway. I continue to enjoy Dominic Mysterio and his work. I think he is getting over well as a heel. And this story with Ray and Dominic and Bad Bunny is going to go very well. We'll get a mixed tag, or not a mixed tag match. We're going to get a tag team match probably at Backlash. They haven't set it up yet, but that's where they're heading towards. I like that. So Brawling Brutes Imperium, the first part of the night, I wasn't watching much because I've seen these groups in some way, shape, or form together as dancing partners for months. So I'm a little bit tired of that. Brutes win. And then, Roman Reigns, the kind of the thing where the Usos are now personas non grata because Roman is upset with them that they lost the belts. But Solo Sikoa is right there in the mix and is very close to the vest of Roman Reigns with a loyalty. Then you split the tag team pairings of Ricochet, Strowman, of Viking Raiders, whatever. This also was a match I didn't worry about. Didn't matter much. Owens and Zayn. And a setup for them later on where Sammy and Jay are going to get set up. So they set that up. Raquel and Liv with a win to then come into Monday night to win the tag team titles off of the women and to have that heel turn from Trish Stratus come into play, which was a good thing. I'll give it that. LA Knight not being at WrestleMania, it doesn't matter to me. He was a non-factor. He was going to add nothing to that show. That's a one-dimensional character. I hate to say this, and I like Eli Drake, but Eli Drake was a different character than this. And the way they're using him here is so one-dimensional and so nothing. LA Knight is very much just a catchphrase or two. Of course he could talk well. But man, I don't like this version of the character right now. I never liked LA Knight. And it's not Eli Drake. It's not the same thing. Because Eli Drake and LA Knight was an evil son of a bitch. The gravy train. The whole approach to him was different. And he would have backup help in the form of tires and things like that, right? It's just a different story. Eli Drake is not doing it for me. Not at all. The draft is coming back. Everybody got really upset on that one. I mean, I heard Brian Alvarez. I'd still listen to the clips from Brian Alvarez and Dave Meltzer at Wrestling Observer that they'll give, that pulse of what the IWC is saying. And the idea is that the rules of like who goes there and splits on other shows, it doesn't make much of a difference. Listen, why does anybody care about the draft? I actually had no problem with Judgment Day crossing over, or Rand Dominic crossing over, or the Bloodline crossing over, or Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens crossing over. That part doesn't matter to me much. Just looks fine. If Raquel and Liv want to, cross over, that's fine too. The draft means nothing. It still doesn't mean anything to me either. And why everybody wants to look at that, but look, if it makes people feel happy, it gives people something to do, it's like, oh, okay. One thing that Triple H has done that people felt like, oh, that means something to them. You know what? It doesn't matter, this male soap opera and who's like on what show. It's not going to make Raw that much different. It's just not. What are you going to get out of that instead? Nothing. No. So you got that, and then Rhea Ripley brags about her win over Charlotte. Finn Balor comes out talking about Edge was a maniac for throwing a ladder at his head. He got 14 staples on his head. just to get the win. Dominic held back because he knew at the end of the day he couldn't hurt his dad. So they had all this stuff going on, and Bad Bunny's going to come back and follow up on Dominic Mysterio, which is a nice run. Listen, they're just doing the little new wrinkles on all these feuds that were continuing on, which is not a bad idea. Instead of just rehashing and just continue to just fester storylines to just stretch them out, they're just adding the wrinkles. That's what a soap opera does. That's what movies do. So the continuity, this is not Vince McMahon's doing, for those of you that think this is. No. What's happening is they're actually continuing the storylines because they're good, and they're just adding other things to the mix so that the story continues, which is what you do with a storyline if you're doing it for so long. There are long arcs. This is what soap operas used to be done like. It's actually being done really well. So to see Bad Bunny now for this Backlash show and using him as a conduit in this Judgment Day storyline, I don't know where Edge is going to be, but this is a new thing here. And Finn Balor and Dominic Mysterio will probably go ahead and tag team against Bad Bunny and Rey Mysterio. That's what I'm guessing is happening. That's fine. That's a good wrinkle. Bloodline seeing Matt Riddle brought into the mix, another wrinkle. And now having the LWO go after Judgment Day, another wrinkle. By the way, multiple people heading up against multiple people. Smart. Because part of it is, too, you want to have a little bit of parity because Ray just can't keep getting his ass beat by Judgment Day, which is why now the LWO has come into play, and they brought this in. Good. And Judgment Day, the bodies are now matched up, which is nice. And then Sammy J. Uso, they set that up. They do a deal where Owens had his leg trapped under an equipment box and Solo was being held back. So Solo taking a shot to make sure that he's not going to come out to help out Sami Zayn or accompany Sami Zayn to the ring. So get the upper hand, right? And Jey Uso wins over Sami Zayn with the help of Sikoa. Done. And Matt Riddle comes to the ring and attacks Jey and Solo Sikoa. Good. So Matt Riddle being brought back, he's brought into this mix. More players to this storyline of the Bloodline is good because it's going to attach well for Matt Riddle. It's going to attach well for Cody because Cody's still going to be involved in this. And Brock Lesnar being brought into the mix as a barrier, as a hurdle, because that is what Brock Lesnar is. For anybody that thinks that's not going to happen, Brock Lesnar is a hurdle that was brought into play to stretch out Roman Reigns' title reign to 1,000 days. Because then Cody, if he overcomes Brock Lesnar, he's able to defeat Brock Lesnar, then he earns his way back into the main title and goes after the undisputed Universal Heavyweight Champion, and that probably goes to SummerSlam. That works. It's not a bad move. So you create this program with Brock and Cody, who have never faced each other, as far as I know, and they bring that up. Listen, what's wrong with that? Where's the Vince stuff that we're all talking about that was like so bad? I didn't see it. What is everybody talking about? Let's go to Raw. Let's bring up Raw and see what they did. And by the way, with everything going on, there's not much you can say about the fact that Raw and SmackDown got back to their normal ratings. I mean, look, post-WrestleMania was 2.26 million viewers last week, 1.8 this week, which is fine. That's not bad. You know there was going to be a breakdown of the viewership. But still, for the most part, 1.75 for first hour, 1.9 for second hour, 1.7 for third hour. That's pretty good. They're still retaining audience. And that's where they're going to have to be able to continue to do until September when NFL comes back. So if they want to go ahead and really do something for themselves to really build up, or is it going to always be that Raw is going to get a dip in the ratings every fall and they're just not going to win, or they're just not going to retain, then that's the thing they're going to deal with. But the ratings are still strong. That bodes well. And let's just say it like this. If the broadcast deals come into play, and NBC Universal comes into play right now, and they're getting ready to get their deal set up for 2024, now's as good a time as to get it done. Next 5 months. Get it done before Labor Day weekend this year. If the broadcast deal gets done by that for the NBC Universal side, Peacock's already a non-factor because that's in the middle of a deal through 2026. So get the new broadcast deal set. If Endeavor, listen, there's a lot of reasons why NBC Universal can stay on board, or Endeavor can shop her. Endeavor can shop the show around. But USA has had the show for so long, it's familiar, everybody knows it's right there. So NBC Universal could go ahead and pay extra to keep the program and keep the audience. That guarantees they get a Monday night win in their cable ratings, and the advertisers stay around. Because there is nothing else that NBC Universal could put up that's going to match those ratings. There is nothing. There is nothing. So they might as well go and make sure to keep that live programming there, hold on to it, make something out of it. So they can get a bump right there. And then for Fox with SmackDown, I mean, they can keep it there too. Fox should keep it there. I mean, what else do they have on Friday nights that's going to do well? There is nothing they can put on Friday nights that's going to do better, unless it's live sports. As far as I know, they don't have anything that's going to be live sports that they're going to fit right there, right? Year round. I mean, well, SmackDown does it. And their ratings have stayed solid. And they get the young demographic they want on Friday nights. That's pretty good. They get the 18 to 49, a very strong rating on 18 to 49 for themselves. So the broadcast deals are going to work out good, and they'll find their way. Excellent for them. Now, going into the rest of this, let's bring up the rest of this part. The results. What did we get? Okay. There was only one match that was announced, and that was the tag team title match. Yeah, we didn't get this is the part where SmackDown sounds like it was very well put together. Raw, let's put it to you like this. Remember, there were travel issues on Monday night for them to get over there to Seattle, Washington, for whatever reason. And Cody was returning. Those are the two things we had for sure in the night. Ray and Dominic to start off, strong. Ray and Finn in a good match. Finn wins, okay. But Dominic interferes. That's good. You have the Maximum Male Models. That continues on. And Otis is going to take on, is going to have a match. Or Alpha Academy is going to take on the Usos, setting that up. That doesn't bode badly for anybody. Lita is hurt before the match against Trish and Becky. No response as Corey Graves says he'd reach out to Brock Lesnar for comment. So no Brock Lesnar this week. They're going to hold him off. That's one of those deals. Remember, he's not going to be there for nothing. You got to hold on to those appearance deals, right? Per appearance, you got to save those for the right time. So they say that Becky says Lita's in a medical facility. They're suspicious of who did it. And Trish is going to take Lita's place. I mean, it's pretty predictable that they're going to lose the belts because of this. And Trish's heel turn was going to come to play because that was all being teased and being thought about. Everybody's talking about it. So they get that tag team match. They put it in 9 o'clock hour. Liv and Raquel win. We get the heel turn. Bobby Lashley and Bronson Reed. Do I care about this? No, because the match looked bad. It was very sloppy. Felt like right? Bronson Reed. I don't know. Him returning back to the company has not worked out well. And remember, wasn't he like working out with Miz to help out? And that whole deal with Dexter Lumis, and that storyline got dropped, right? It's one of the things I really didn't like. And now Bobby Lashley being brought here, I don't like this either. Like, I get it why they're doing it. But yeah, they dropped the whole thing with Bobby and well, I mean, Bobby and Omos was done. I mean, Bobby's doing the right thing. He's putting guys over. He's being kind of an enhancement. So he's working with another young, big guy. I get it. I just don't think Bronson's the guy. I just don't see it. And Jonah was a different character. It was something different and what they were going to do. But Bronson Reed, I think he's getting bigger. And he didn't look good in the ring. And it doesn't mean that he needs to be wrestling smaller guys and getting all that. Because in the WWE, he's gonna wrestle the heavyweights. And if it doesn't look that good, he's not looking that good. And that's an issue. Plus, those tights they're not flattering to him at all. It doesn't look right. But that's their decision. Usos are Alpha Academy, done. Io Sky against Piper Niven and Michin, do not care. Damage Control is such an alpha. They're good to look at, but they're not interesting. They're not interesting at all. And I just feel like they're anchors for Bayley. That's all there is to it. And the Solo Sikoa against Kevin Owens, so they split, they switched the parts. Okay. And Solo Sikoa gets the win. So where Cody's the only person that's beaten Solo so far, that's good. And then Riddle and Sami Zayn finally arrive midway through Raw in Seattle, and they go ahead and show up at the end of the night to attack after Owens is being stomped on and kicked on by the Usos at the end of the match. All that's fine. And I'll tell you what, what they did was, where's the Vince influence again? Remind me of that. Show me where that is. Because I don't see it whatsoever. And I'm trying here. I will say the matches get a little bit sluggish, and I can't sit there and watch the same stars over and over like this. I mean, there's just certain matches that will interest me, some that are not. Like I said, Bobby and Bronson, barely interested. Io Sky against Piper Niven and Michin. This is an NXT match. It's NXT Black and Gold. I don't care. I don't care. And so, it's a three-way, right. But it doesn't matter. Piper Niven, Doudrop, it doesn't make a difference. She's a nice girl, but no. I mean, she works well, but there's just no character behind her. Nothing behind her that really makes me matter. Michin, nothing either. As Mia Yim, in Impact Wrestling was a much different character. Mia Yim was just more interesting. Michin, no, nothing interesting. Nothing interesting at all. But there were things that were interesting. Like the whole 3 hours is not going to be perfect. It's not going to be for me. But they did a pretty good job with what they did. I give them that. I don't have any problem with that. I enjoyed it. So that's what they did. And I don't have a problem with that. Why Vince continues to be the bearer of the criticism for this anyway doesn't make a difference to me. It doesn't matter. But everybody wants to go ahead and attack here. Why are they all going after Vince? Do you really think from what I just read of all of that right there, okay? Of everything I said with Vince McMahon right there, how much of that do you feel like is where he is doing some of the same trendy crap that everybody got upset with right now? That's the part I want to ask you. Can somebody tell me what there is? Somebody want to tell us that? So there was a story that came out. The hashtag Fire Vince. Right? So everybody got upset, and for whatever reason, Fire Vince became a thing after Raw last week. Sportskeeda reports on this. I'm going to take this from them. So last week's Raw, one of the worst rated episodes of all time. Reports emerged that McMahon was in the creative direction of the show, gave the rise to the hashtag Fire Vince movement. Chants raised during Tuesday's NXT show. The promotion is wary that the same could be repeated on the upcoming edition of SmackDown, and fans getting vocal online. And so, the report came out about the Fire Vince trend, and a tenured source in WWE was reporting to reporters the dirt sheets that the new powers that be are aware of the scandal. Quote, they're aware of all the criticism of Vince's rewritten scripts and anything else you can think of. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. But everybody's upset about it, and everybody wants to get all huffed up and upset, thinking that's his whole deal. So everybody's upset about it. It doesn't matter. The IWC can go ahead and do whatever they want. Listen, it was a Twitter campaign. What kind of effect is that really going to do? You think that's going to make a difference? Say, ooh, we got to fire him. No. Let me give a reality check. Listen. Signal, not noise, okay? The noise is hashtag Fire Vince. The signal is Vince is still around as a figurehead, as a shareholder, as a chairman. He is not president. He's not head of creative. Can he be part of the creative process and oversight overall? Sure. Because he's going to be. He's back in the mix, so he can do that. But from the Raw SmackDown that I just wrote to you, okay? That I just referred to you. Let me go through this again. Who thinks that you would say Ricochet and Braun Strowman together as a group, or Viking Raiders coming out, when Ricochet, Viking Raiders, very much Triple H really pushed behind them and really wanted something from them? Because why would he else would he have brought War Machine from Ring of Honor, right? Triple H brought him in. And that whole purging for 2016 onward, or 2015 onward. LA Knight, bringing him in, that's a Triple H guy. Legado del Fantasma now is LWO. Are you telling me the LWO idea was not Triple H decided to bring that back and putting it in to pair that up? And then we look at Raw, and I'm saying, okay, Bronson Reed's still being put out there. I don't know, I mean, if it makes much of a difference, but like, put him out there and let's see what happens. Io Sky, Piper Niven, and Michin, that's all NXT right there. And they were given time. I don't think that the Triple H is making any concessions right now. I think he still is running the book. He's still writing the pencil. He's still the head of creative right now in this process. I don't see the difference, or everybody's talking about with what's happening here. I don't see it. And people got upset because it was the damn, of all things good and wonderful, everybody was upset about Raw of last week. The Raw after WrestleMania was a disappointment. Okay, I can understand that. Where's the big returns? Here's the people fucking, where's Braun Breaker? Where's, Grayson Waller? Where's, I don't know. Where's Roxanne Perez? Where's all this whole change that everybody's going to make all happy about? Triple H coming out last week, almost an alliance. Because remember, first hour, it was just squash matches. They didn't put much else to it. These people just got done with wrestling the night before. What do you want them to do? So let's just put a whole stacked show after 2 nights on Saturday and Sunday. The expectations for wrestling on the first coming back out, I'm not surprised. Almost get his heat back. That's what they did. Triple H comes out. They do the whole deal. Roman comes out. Boasts. Cody comes out. All that's wonderful. And then the Brock deal. all that first part was wonderful. Great, remember? And then what? Austin Theory or Mysterio? Oh, the, instant match? Yeah, I don't like that too much. And for the fact that Ray got looked at, that was kind of shady. That wasn't good. That is a Vince McMahon move. I do believe that. Owens is saying against Street Profits. Well, you know what? They gave the crowd what they wanted. They wanted to see him out there. Street Profits out there, non-title, whatever. They set up Bobby and Bronson that was going to go this week. And Bobby squashes Mustafa Ali, or Mustafa, whatever. Bianca gets a little bit of praise and goes out there and talks about her win over Asuka. Okay. Like, we didn't get any tournaments. We didn't get anything where, like, the setup to the setup, whatever, all this thing, right? And then, we had the whole deal that, okay, we saw Matt Riddle come back, go after The Miz, so he's back. We didn't get all the big, thing of where we're off to WrestleMania. They already spoiled that before. You think Triple H was going to go right back to that? What do they have? Let me put it to you like this. When we were coming back from pandemic and we saw surprise after surprise after surprise, what kind of surprises do they have right now? They didn't have a lot of people that came back. Randy Orton can't come back right now, as far as I know. Riddle is back. And at this point, by the way, he's not have we heard him talk at all since he came back? No. He's been attacking the bloodline. We haven't heard from him as to why. And I don't know if Riddle's coming back as a serious character and he's not going to be goofy like before. Let me tell you, that's a telling sign. Because I don't see Riddle coming out. We haven't seen him wrestle yet. So he's not doing... there was a few things we saw where he did come back and, you see the whatever, the giraffes or whatever kind of graphic they put out there when he flips the flops, right? But still... Matt Riddle's the Matt Riddle before he left. Not so extra goofy or comedy like before. Because Triple H was making him a serious character. If Vince was back in full speed, Matt Riddle wouldn't be that. Right? Elias is already a squash character. That's where he is right now. He is that. Doesn't matter much anymore. It's still Triple H to where it looks like, to me, that's what's happening. So for anybody else that's going to get upset and huffing over this, they can stop it. Because I don't see it. I don't think there's any problem with what they're doing right now. It's done. Just let it go. Let it go. All right. Let's talk about Tony Khan. And let's get into the whole point of what he's doing with his pillars. The plan that he has to set things up so he can constantly get what he wants out of the storylines that he's building up. Because he is doing something very consistent right now. I will say that for sure, that what he's done right now is very consistent with what he wants to do. Like, you're seeing some of the same things, though. You're not seeing a whole lot of different stars or, so many different stars that are taking weeks off. There's a little bit of rotation of people coming in and out among the pillars, right? But MJF's coming out consistently. But they're doing a thing where there is some consistency right now in the storylines and consistency in some of the stories that they're building up. And they're going pretty much all in to do that on a regular basis. I like that. I like it a lot. So I got no problem with that. Now, let's tell to you like this. So with AEW tonight, as AEW does, they give you a full menu of what matches they're going to have. Be delivered on all of them. I don't think they give us a TNT title match. We did have that. That's right. It was a real quick match. I forgot. I missed it because something was going on with the TBS app when I'm trying to watch. But anyways, Darby Allin, Swerve Strickland. The whole deal with that is because Darby and Swerve, we know the history about them. And now The embassy now has Swerve Strickland in their pocket. Darby wins again. MJF comes out after the match with great promos between Darby Allin, MJF, and Sting. Sting doing really good work. And MJF consistently having to cut different promos on all the pillars. A focus on a different pillar every week. Right? We do Jack Perry one week. We do Sammy Guevara one week. We now have Darby Allin this week. I love this. I guess we need we need a match to set up who's the contender that will ultimately face MJF for the title at Double or Nothing. And I think the crowd gets to kind of get a gauge of who's going to face who. That's good. I actually like that a lot. And MJF, I think, has been doing a great job so far with everything he's been doing. I like the Cody lines, saying that Cody was a support system for MJF, but then that split apart. And MJF has basically screwed everybody over that he's been with. MJF has been a pretty consistent character, and I like that. Hobbs, quick win in the TNT title match. Wardlow smashes Hobbs' car with a bat, tips it over with a forklift. There we go. And now Wardlow and Hobbs, they're set to go after each other pretty soon. Jay White, Juice Robinson, they're setting things up. We now have Bullet Club Gold. They love throwing Orange Cassidy out there to defend that international title. Is strong. He's got a great winning streak. He continues to win. Hell of a match. And then we move on to Bullet Club and the Elite. And that's a great feud coming up, and I can see that being blood and guts. If they're setting that up for Double or Nothing, I'm in for that. Or we don't get that, and we might get like a trios match, and then eventually I think we get the blood and guts at All in Wembley. Okay, I think that's where you set blood and guts. That's a feud I think that goes all the way to Wembley Stadium. And then the MJF deal with one of the pillars going after him, that also going to be set up for Wembley. But you got to set something up for Double or Nothing that's going to be good. You get there. The AEW Originals against the Outcasts. I like that storyline. They're consistently going after it. Jericho you see occasionally. Now we saw the Hardys are back together. That's all great too. I like it all. And so you look at AEW has a pretty consistent set of stories right now. The Ring of Honor tapings are all set, and people are watching those over there. And the Ring of Honor roster is all set there. With a little bit of crossover. But for the most part, Tony's got a pretty consistent product. He now has it at the point where Ring of Honor is now standalone. And he's got his stars over there with a little bit of crossover with a Blackpool Combat Club, and among others. That all works. And now what needs to happen is he can go ahead and put his focus back on Dynamite and start building up, because he needs to get his stars all revved up. Let me put it to you like this. Warner Brothers' 100th anniversary. All in Wembley Stadium. This is where the difference where Tony Khan is not going to do what Eric Bischoff did in WCW. Because Eric Bischoff never tried to pull a show like this. Georgia Dome is the one example, and that's 40,000 for Goldberg and Hogan. Sure. But let me put it like this. They never ran stadium shows. I don't think there was even an ambition to do it. I don't think you can count Sturgis and the Road Wilds. I wouldn't count those. So WCW never did it. But Tony Khan, after 5 years, a very ambitious thing to mark the 5th anniversary of the company, or the 5th anniversary of the movement. New market. The show's performing very well over there on ITV. It makes sense. And that European audience, this could be very much feeling like a WrestleMania, depending on how they do it. And even if the ratings are not budging much more over 1 million viewers, Okay? Even if they're not, that's all right. Because what they can do is they can go ahead and move and do something more. Like, okay, last week, 877,000 viewers. 800,000 viewers. They've been up and down. That's what it's been, right? And if we're looking at this ratings right now, just as of late, okay, just during the weeks leading up to WrestleMania, between 800,000 and 950,000 viewers, up and down within that realm. And the last time they hit 1 million viewers was February 22nd. Sure. Now, what they're doing with what they're setting up with Dynamite, they're not putting the focus on the main the big stars are settled in faction feuds, which is cool, but it's not the main event focus. The main event focus is on the younger stars. That's where I think that the drop down on the audience is coming from, right? I believe that's where it is. Just remember, they had to have changes that were made because of what was going on with no help of, CM Punk, no FTR out there, just a number of things that were varying factors altogether. And I think it's part of the thing that people have to go and look at. So the 1 million viewers that night, that night, the Revolution Tag Team Battle Royal, remember, it was the lead up to Revolution. The Go Home show, that got 1 million viewers. But everything else was like, now they're set up with where MJF, the ratings have not gone and made a big drop because of him holding the belt. Not necessarily, no. He's held on okay. It hasn't been that bad. Has not been that bad. But, they're trying to work things out. Let's see what happens here, right? And so far, I don't have any problems with what they've been doing so far with the storylines in AEW. They just need to work themselves out. Work their way through. Let's see what happens, right? And eventually they're going to get there. I think the gamble's going to pay off. And this is the thing. My point of really bringing up the ratings is the fact that Warner Brothers, Discovery, the entity that is paying AEW right now, when their broadcast deal comes up, this August show, when they sell this show out and they show the audience the interest in the product, then Tony Khan's going to have to take the gamble and try to create a stadium show here. Because by having a stadium show in the UK, major market, if he's able to go and create a sellout crowd at that stadium, he'd be able to fill Wembley, which is 70,000 plus. If he fills that stadium to the gills, to the rafters, then that really legitimizes the company as an ultimate number two and much more formidable than WCW ever was. With WCW, the NWO, Savage, Hogan, Piper, DDP, Wolfpack, Goldberg, you're telling me that with that star power, that's the other thing we have to remember too, is at the time, nobody was doing those stadium shows. Not by that point. Like, it was only a couple of years, it was only like at the end of after WCW was folded, that WWE really started doing those bigger places. Like, it would do Safeco Field in Seattle, and they would take it to Sky Dome, things like that. Then they started increasing the stadiums, and then they fully did it in the 2000s. But this was after WCW was gone. But WCW never tried it either. But AEW, in this current state, to make that possible, man, that's pretty good. I like it. Let's go. Let's see what happens. There's a lot of things that say this could work, right? Now, remember, the same thing we've got to say is the fact that we have a lot of good people out there that are already working out with Chris Jericho, with Chris Jericho, Bryan Danielson, and Claudia Castagnolian, the stars they have brought in from WWE to be a part of this. That's pretty good. So don't judge it out. Chris Jericho actually commented about this. Let's talk about this real quick. He believes that all-in success at Wembley Stadium will shut up a lot of haters. He sent a message to negative fans on Twitter and wrote the following. Makes me laugh when critics already proclaim AEW All-In at Wembley Stadium a failure. Nobody has any idea how many tickets we will sell, except the fact-checkers and promoters have done their research. Once again, I expect a shitload of loudmouths to have their mouths shut. They'll be near capacity. I mean, listen, if they're able to pull 50, 60,000 in there, I think they're going to do that. I can see that happening. But I can also absolutely, positively see the wrestling public in the UK. I could totally see them go for this event. Because remember, the other part was with Clash at the Castle, they went to Cardiff, Wales. This isn't London proper. This is a London proper. A very heralded stadium. That's not going to have a problem. They're in the main center, metropolitan London. They're going to pull a crowd there. And I think they can get the sellout crowd. I'll eat my words if I'm wrong, but I don't think I'm going to be wrong. I can almost bet on it. They'll be at least near capacity or at capacity. They're going to fill that stadium for this show. I really believe that. That's the show tonight. We're going to leave it there. Now, with no production, I'm going to tell you all the things that I would normally tell you on the program. The older, right, the guy would listen at the end. Anyway, thanks for listening to the Wrestling is Real podcast, a service of the King of Podcasts Radio Network. All the shows that you listen to right here, Wrestling is Real, The Praise and the Debaucherous, and the Broadcasters Podcast. All my programming is in one place, kingofpodcasts.com. The Wrestling is Real podcast at wrestlingisreal.com. Brand new website. Check it out for yourselves. Bookmark it, please. Remember that you can always listen to this show. Subscribe to it. Apple Podcasts, Amazon, Google, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts. I am on social media at King of Podcasts everywhere. Twitter, Facebook, TikTok, Instagram. And until next week, come back for another Wrestling is Real podcast because wrestling needs us.